Good morning everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of 16th June 2024. Let us look at the articles that we have today, but then I know many of our friends would be giving the prelims exam today, and that's why we shall be meeting many a times today in the second half of the day, where we shall be discussing the question paper. Subject-wise analysis of the question paper would be done. In the meantime, let us look at the topics. The first one, at the Outreach Summit, G7 commits to promoting IMEC, that is India, Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. So we shall slightly look about this old topic, something that you have already studied, but then we shall look into this. Second, Ukraine Peace Summit opens in Switzerland with low expectations, done many a times in the past few days. Not much over here, but we shall look into this also. The third topic comes from Prelims. Rajasthan's SHGs help African women to farm and flourish. So we shall look slightly about this topic, from Prelims angle. The fourth topic is Center launches portal to ecologically monitor Ganga. So we shall see which exactly ministry is launching this, what they are trying to do this. And lastly, anti-malarials may relieve polycystic ovary syndrome. So overall there are 5 topics, and I'm very sure most of these topics, except I think the last one, would be something that you would be already knowing. So today there was not much to talk about as far as the your newspaper analysis is concerned. But then, as I said, today belongs to something else, prelims discussion, which we shall be doing in the second half. We shall start most probably after 2 p.m. We'll be waiting for the paper. We'll get the paper by 12, and we'll take some time to sort out, to get the answers, and then we shall be one by one, different teachers would be there to give you the analysis of the paper. Okay, let's begin. Let's do the discussion. Let's see what all are there. The first topic, at Outreach Summit, G7 commits to promoting IMEC. So you can see IMEC, what exactly it is: India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC. So G7, that the group of the industrialized nations, they have committed to initiatives like IMEC. You all know Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi had also attended this summit. Apart from this, the G7 also reiterated that they want a free and open Indo-Pacific, free Indo-Pacific that is based on rule of law. So they have talked about this. Third thing they are saying, we will also promote concrete G7 PGII. Now what exactly is this? Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment Initiative. So I would ask you to remember these words. If G7 tomorrow comes, any question on that in mains comes, you should know these words. So here the G7 says these initiatives, any other flagship projects, like they are talking about some corridors. In this it is mentioned Lobito Corridor, Luzon Corridor, IMEC Corridor, the Middle Corridor, apart from EU Global Gateway, Great Green Wall Initiative, and METI plan for Africa that's launched by Italy. Try to remember as many of these corridor names. See, I'm highlighting this for your benefit here. See, here it's mentioned that they are saying that they coordinate and finance all this. This is mentioned in the communique. So please, this much you should know. This is the crux of this article, that the G7 nations, they are saying that they will continue to push for these initiatives. They'll continue to finance these initiatives. Of course, as you all know, the highlight talks about commitment to IMEC. Now, what exactly is IMEC? If anyone knows this, great. If you don't know this, this is an initiative which talks about a vast road, railroad, a shipping network. And these all would be, and I'll change the pen, these all would be between US, of course, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia. So all these nations, and Germany, Italy, all of them would be, supporting this. But basically this is the proposed route between India and Europe. And it would be passing through UAE, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Greece. So please understand, do not get confused. When we talk about IMEC, it's a corridor between India and Europe passing through these four nations. Of course, this has got the support of all this because it was discussed during G20 summit that was organized last year in New Delhi in 2023. And the Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, was signed and submitted by all these nations, as I mentioned: US, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, France, Italy, Jordan, EU, all of them had supported it. Now, if anyone thinks, why is this IMEC required? You all know, basically, this helps India and Europe to link their transportation and communication links. And strategically, this becomes an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiatives, BRI, the Belt and Road Initiatives. So, if you talk about the MOU, to some extent it would also be competing with the Suez Canal, current trade route that goes on. Now, as you all know, after this signing of this and thinking about this MOU, the unfortunate aspect has been that there is a war going on between Israel and Hamas, and because of this route has been blocked by the Houthi rebels also. So that has hurt it. Apart from this, there is another player who is not entirely happy, not entirely convinced with this. That is Turkey. Turkey's president, Mr. Erdogan, has criticized this project because this project, as you can see, has bypassed Turkey. And that's why he's talking about that he will develop an alternative route which will be Iraq Development Road Project. He says that through, again, Persian Gulf, Europe would be connected via ports in UAE, Qatar, Iraq, and in this there is one port's name mentioned. Let me, tell you where exactly that is. No, it's not there. Okay, it's not in this article, but there is a port that is being constructed known as Grand Port. So that is being, that's being constructed in Iraq, and he's saying we will try to develop this. Apart from all of this, let me tell you last point here, that some of these nations like UAE and Saudi Arabia, they are saying that IMEC is not a challenge to China, but rather this is an opportunity to diversify their economies. So all this is being talked about IMEC. Last line that you should remember here with regards to this: Pope Francis became the first pontiff to join the participants of the G7 hosted by Italy. So this is something for prelims. Do remember, you can see Pope Francis over here. He had joined, and you can see Mr. Meloni, who is, hosting this summit of G7. So this much you have to remember. Again, I'm retelling you. Try to remember some of these corridor names. Try to remember about the basics of IMEC. What exactly is under this? Which all countries come under this? What are the, I would say, challenges in front of this? This much you should know. And of course, Mr. Pope Francis, you have to remember. Moving ahead. Now, this is a old topic. Ukraine Peace Summit opens in Switzerland with low expectations. 15 June only we discussed. Bergenstock leaders seek a peace framework for Ukraine without Russia. That's why you can see if Russia is not there, the expectations with regards to this summit is low. You can see the picture of Swiss president with the Ukrainian president here at the summit in Bergenstock. Now, please understand, these sort of summits, they had first initiated a Bali G20 summit in 2021. And then there were 4 rounds of talks between national security advisors. The attendance count in this Bergenstock summit is around 101 countries and organizations, including 57 heads of state. Now, you all know, yesterday also I talked about, for example, India not being represented by a prime minister, not being represented by a foreign minister, but being represented by a very senior diplomat. Similarly, Brazil, the G20 chair, is attending it only as an observer. US president is not there, but of course he has sent his vice president and national security advisors and all that. Now, what there will be, what all would be talked about here. Working groups will discuss 3 key agendas. Number 1, nuclear safety. Number 2, freedom of shipping. Number 3, the food safety and humanitarian aspects, including the POWs. This all would be discussed as far as this summit is concerned. Now, I've already told you many of the important countries are not here. Europe is more or less totally there. But then, apart from Europe, some other countries either have not been represented by their heads of states. I told you the best example being India. But the problem is that there are very less expectations from these talks because of the major reason that Russia has not been invited. And in the neighborhood of this area, like countries like Finland, whose capital is Helsinki, they only want that this, fight that's going on, this conflict that's going on, should not move to the neighborhood areas. That's the major thing that they want right now. So this is the major thing. Again, I'm telling you, most of the important news of this we had yesterday only discussed in this. In Bergenstock, leaders seek a peace framework for Ukraine without Russia. All these things that I mentioned, the most important points were mentioned over here. Moving ahead, for prelims, one topic, Rajasthan's SHGs help African women to farm and flourish. Now, please understand, 2 countries, Western African countries, as you can see, Mali and Senegal. Their women, they are learning from SHG model that is presently going on in Rajasthan's Dholpur district. And already this SHG model has helped around 12,500 women in these 2 countries. How? Through biogas production, goat rearing, poultry farming, cooperative federations, so these women, they are learning. Now here there were 2-3 things. Number 1, Dholpur's the self-help group model is dependent on 5 principles of Rajivika. Now what exactly is Rajivika? The full form is Rajasthan Grameen Ajivika Vikas Parishad. So remember, the one example of SHG would be Rajivika. That's there in Rajasthan Grameen Ajivika Vikas Parishad. Now, what are the 5 principles of Rajivika? One is weekly meeting, another is weekly saving, third is internal borrowing, fourth is loan repayment, and fifth is maintenance of records. Please try to remember these 5 principles would help you in SHG's questions. So these are the 5 principles, and I'm giving you a question here. Panchratna mission. If any one of you know about this Panchratna mission, please mention it. I'll tell you about this tomorrow. So some homework for you. Exactly try to find out what exactly is this Panchratna mission, which is helping the SHG model as far as, Rajasthan is concerned. Apart from this, the women are also being taught about the millet production. Because the weather of Rajasthan is very similar to the weather of these two countries, and what can be grown over here can be, replicated over there also. So they are being given training with regards to this also. Moving ahead, let us look at the 4th topic. Center launches portal to ecologically monitor Ganga. Now, first of all, please remember which ministry is launching it. Union Jal Shakti Ministry has launched this e-flow ecological monitoring system. So this e-flow monitoring system or environmental flow monitoring system, what it does is it gives us a real-time idea or monitoring of river quality. Now, so this e-flow, as you can see, is developed by National Mission for Clean Ganga and is an arm of the Jal Shakti Ministry. Now, one very important thing is not only Ganga, but it will also give real-time analysis of rivers like Yamuna and the tributaries of Ganga. And all this, Namami Gange program that's going on would be seen at this central level. So, you all know this Namami Gange program, it's a flagship program as far as the ministry is concerned, which is being done to clean the river Ganga and its tributaries. Along with this, one more aspect is given that was launched in 2018 only. Center has mandated a minimum e-flow for various stretches of Ganga throughout the year. That minimum stretches has to be, that this much water has to be there in Ganga throughout the year at different points of time. That is also mentioned under this. Let us come to the last topic for the day. Page 11, there is anti-malarials may relieve polycystic ovary syndrome. Now for prelims, please remember, plant-derived compounds which are best known for anti-malarial properties, they can relieve polycystic ovary syndrome also. This is a syndrome that affects millions of women. So if this plant-derived compounds are used, they can help the women. Now in this article, there is mention of a compound called artemisinin. Now this compound, what it does is, it achieves their effect by suppressing ovarian androgen production. So this compound, please remember for prelims, this compound is used to treat this. And lastly, here there is a drug mentioned, dihydroartemisinin. It's a drug which is used to treat malaria. If it is used for 12 weeks continuously, it reduces the PCOS biomarkers as far as the women are concerned. So these are the small 5 topics that we had to cover today. Again, I'm repeating, we have a bigger day today. The prelims is going on and we shall be meeting in the second half for the prelims discussion. As far as the mains questions are concerned for today, not much of the topic, so only one question. Question is, discuss the significance of the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor for India and the world, along with the challenges associated with it. You can attempt this question in 250 words, 15 marker. And that's all from today's discussion. Again, those who are giving the exam, our best wishes are going on with them. I hope many of them clear the exam. And rest, in the second half, we are meeting with the discussion of the prelims. Thank you. Goodbye.